Greetings, John with Digital Foundry here, and today we're going to take one final look at Uncharted 4 in action before it ships in early May. This new beta includes 2 previously seen maps alongside a brand new map for players to explore, which is what we're seeing here. It's a beautiful new area set beside the sea at night, with plenty of climbing and swinging opportunities made available. It's a pretty nice looking map overall, with a solid mix of indoor and exterior locales. This room in particular really caught our eye with its nice reflections there. As we saw in the previous betas, Uncharted 4 multiplayer is designed to operate at 900p 60 frames per second, while the single player portion delivers 1080p 30 instead. We've seen this dual frame rate setup in the past with games such as Killzone Shadowfall, and it works well enough, but it can be distracting when moving between the single player and multiplayer portions of the game. Now, Shadowfall wasn't exactly able to hold its promised 60 frames per second in multiplayer, and, based on our experience with earlier demos, Uncharted 4 doesn't quite hold 60 frames per second either. In comparison, the absolutely incredible looking Star Wars Battlefront also operates at 900p while managing to deliver a very solid level of performance. So, how does Uncharted 4 in its current form stack up then? Well, based on our experience, Uncharted actually comes pretty close to hitting 60 frames per second in most situations. The majority of the game sees players traversing the map looking for action while engaging in smaller skirmishes. However, when things get hectic, the frame rate doesn't quite hold steady. This particular sequence really drives that home. As players crowd around the center area in a massive showdown, the frame rate hangs under 60 frames per second the majority of the time. It was really here more than any other area where we could really feel the frame rate buckling. This is basically the worst case scenario that we encountered during gameplay. Really though, anytime you get lots of explosions and all of the players gathered in a single area, that you're going to see drops under 60 frames per second. What we have to remember is that performance has come a long way since its initial showing last year. Our first look at the game saw frame rates falling into the low 40s and sometimes worse. Since then we've seen a noticeable improvement to performance, and now we're here. It's not perfect by any means, but still stable for the majority of a match. While we are closing in on launch, one thing to keep in mind is the age of the build we're testing here. It's not entirely clear when this build was finalized for release. After all, this is designed to test the network backend, not necessarily the graphics performance. So it's still entirely possible that these issues could be ironed out for launch. As for network performance, well, things seem to be going rather well thus far. We first signed on and started playing just as the beta went live yesterday, and ran into some connectivity issues, but Naughty Dog was on the ball and corrected these as fast as possible. Playing again this morning, we were able to jump into matches consistently without any issues and without any noticeable latency while playing. Anyways, that's about it for now. We'll be ready to put the final game through its paces when it launches in May, but until then, thanks for watching, and until next time, this is John signing off.